Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Syndicate Discourse. It is I almost said two. What's with me in Tuesday? I keep saying Tuesday. I want to say Tuesday. We used to do 2 shows a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays during the pandemic, and that might be why. And I think we did shows during Tuesday um, before. Anyway, we're here tonight. We're going to give our spoiler heavy. Yes, we're doing spoilers tonight. So here's your warning: spoilers on Halloween Ends. It has been out for almost a week now. It's on Peacock, so it's streaming. And according to our ratings, at least 79 people have seen Halloween Ends, according to our 20,000 followers. So we want to hear from you. We're going to talk about Halloween Ends, how we feel about it, what we think, and maybe get into the future of Halloween, where it falls on our rankings. When I saw it, I was dumbfounded, and I put it at the very end because I just didn't know how to feel about it. So it's just resting in the number 13 spot. Yes, there are 13 Halloween movies now in 5 different timelines. If you really want to get into that, my favorite timeline still is the Loomis Thorne timeline. I don't give a shit. So anyway, we are going to introduce the guys as usual. But get in on the discussion. We want to know how you feel about Halloween Ends. Hit the like button. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe if you have not subscribed. If you're on Facebook and you have a YouTube, go subscribe. And there's a bunch of other videos on there. We did a ranking of the Halloween series last year, I think, or the year before that. If you love Halloween, there's tons of Halloween stuff. And I'm just going to do Fooey hands all night. So the first person I'm going to introduce, I'm going to do it a little bit differently this year. He's a complete piece of trash, but I love him. His name is Jared Letourneau. Hi, Jared. How you doing?
Thank you for that eloquent introduction.
I'm trying to be warm. You know, I love you, brother. You're a good friend. Been with the Horror Syndicate from the beginning. He's
Yes.
got his roots in the Horror Syndicate. Real quick, how'd you feel about Halloween Ends upon seeing it the first time?
Okay, so after watching it again today, so I've watched it twice now. After immediately watching it in the theaters, I was 100,000% underwhelmed.
Okay, yeah.
I will just leave it
Me,
at that.
me too. All right. The next person, he's written a lot of articles about Halloween on the Facebook, on the website, thehorrorsyndicate.com. Go check them out. He did a lot of articles on scripts that were never made into films. He broke them down like that. He did a great review on Hellraiser from 2022. His name is Trash Panda. I mean, Seth Miller. Seth, how are we doing tonight, pal?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm a little loopy because I'm tired. So it should be a fun show. Plus, it's hot as fuck in this room tonight, and I don't want to turn the fan on because when the blades spin, it like flashes up my screen. I feel like I'm gonna have a seizure, so I don't want to have a seizure. Okay, real fast. Same thing with you. Your initial feeling when you saw Halloween Ends.
When I walked out of the theater, I wasn't angry, but I was more disappointed. Um, I mean, we'll get into it. I've watched it 3 times total now, and I am warming up to it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a watchable movie, but I still have a lot of issues with it.
Yeah.
So
I felt defeated after walking out. My kids both loved it. They really liked it. I felt like, seriously, Last Jedi. I was having flashbacks of The Last Jedi. The next person I'm going to introduce, and if you've never seen the show before, this man has done it all. He has done Scream Factory covers like Day of the Dead, and that's the one. Night of the Comet is one of my favorites he's done. He's worked for NECA or NECA if you're one of those people, and he's a filmmaker himself. His name is Nathan Thomas Milliner, and I couldn't think of anything funny to call you, so you're just your name.
Okay.
Now, same question for you. Your initial response, like, or your feeling after you saw Halloween Ends the very first time. I know you read about it a little bit with
I wrote about it a little bit on Facebook. I had the benefit of seeing it like 2 days after everyone like lost their mind over it, and so I kind of gathered what to expect just from the response. Like, okay, it's going to be different. It's not going to be what everybody wanted. Okay. I'm getting a lot of Last Jedi comments. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's totally different, off the rails, went in another direction. I saw, and I went ahead and I I like to know what the filmmaker intended, and that changes everything because we go into these movies with our expectations. Well, I didn't make the fucking movie, so how's it going to be what I expected? You know, what I wanted. So, but I don't want to spoil it. So I read just interviews before the movie came out with David Gordon Green, and he talked about. I'd already heard the whole Christine stuff. He talked about that like a year ago or whatever. And I knew, and from reading it, he said, you know, he didn't want to make 3 of the same movies, and the second movie was his exploitation, balls of the wall, Michael Myers, blood and guts action film. And he said, I wanted to make the third one a romance film, a love story about bad boys in leather jackets on motorcycles. And I went, okay. So when I went into it, I didn't take all that baggage of expectation with me. I knew I was going to see something that a lot of people hated. And so I totally get the disappointment because I've been there. You know, we've all been there. Last Jedi was that way. I wanted to see another Luke Skywalker. We all wanted to see another Luke Skywalker. We didn't get that Luke Skywalker, and you just felt
you
defeated.
ended up loving that movie anyway, though.
I don't love it. I just accepted it for what it was, and after that movie taught me a lesson to not put all my eggs in a basket and take all of that desire into a film that until I see what it is. And so since Last Jedi, I kind of go into these movies without that, carrying all that hype for myself and just kind of just absorb it. Initial reactions, yeah, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. I didn't think it was a piece of shit. I get why people are disappointed. I think the disappointment or letdown is a very fair response to this film, because I agree. I don't think it fits in with the trilogy. It's not a good way to end a 3-part story. That's where it's met. That's where it met. And he knew that. He said that. We knew we were taking a big risk. We were asking a lot. You know, Jamie Lee Curtis saying it's going to piss the fans off. Like, they knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like that they said, well, this is the movie we want to make, and that's what we're going to make. So they don't want to repeat themselves.
You know, the thing with it is, like, I was telling this to Ray earlier, like, and I mentioned this to other people, it's not really a bad idea. It's not a bad story. Like, if this was, like, maybe, like, the middle chapter, or if they introduced this whole idea in 2018 of the idea of the evil being infective, I think it would have, you know, it's a good movie, but just, like, as a final chapter, it felt kind of like a letdown to everything they set up beforehand with the first 2 movies, with Laurie's arc and with Hawkins' arc and with Allison's arc and all that. It was a decent story. It is a decent idea, just not for the 3rd and final chapter of a trilogy. Like, I feel like they should have done this story sooner.
Yeah, I agree. And I think one big thing is they had so many characters in the films that they just sidelined continuously, like Hawkins and even Allison is not given full. They gave Karen a bit of growth in the second movie, but then they fucking kill her off when she's really, like, hitting her arc and becoming, in my opinion, like one of the best characters in the trilogy.
Yeah, that was one of the things that pissed me off about Halloween Kills coming out of that. And you guys remember how I was not happy with that movie was because they did Karen dirty. I liked her. I was getting to like her as a character. She was becoming a very likable character, especially after she popped him in the neck at the end of the 2018 movie.
But there's just a lot of characters who really never got a full ride. And I hope, like, if we're talking about continuation, I would like to see the next movie be about Hawkins and Allison and her, like, maybe Laurie dies and Allison comes back home for the funeral or whatever, and the mask is in Laurie's house. I mean, there's got to be, you know, something is picked up, but I don't know. I won't get into it, but I think that's the fair.
Do what I did. Put some sunglasses on it. Go.
I think the arguments that, because I really like Corey Cunningham, but I wish he had been introduced in the first movie, or at least the second movie.
Yeah.
So that it wasn't just all of a sudden a character who is driving an hour and 10 minutes of the film being a new character. Where we got all these other established characters. You know, I don't think that Laurie is sidelined as much. Laurie's there. She's actually in about, I don't know, 40 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, she's in a good amount of the movie.
Yeah,
you get
and
to see a lot of Laurie.
Yeah. I don't agree that she's not in the movie enough. I don't, like, what else could they do? That's the thing. Like, what could they have done to give Laurie more time? I mean, we've seen so much of Laurie Strode at this point. In this movie, she's playing a person who's moving on and is trying to help her granddaughter at this point, but then fucks up and then play. It's kind of a, she almost plays investigator, trying to figure out. Now that she sees something and she's like going around talking to his mother.
After she basically spoon-fed her to that kid. I mean, come on, Laurie.
That was one of the things I think I mentioned in my article too, was that fuck, I forgot what I was going to say. Go ahead. Never mind. Fucking stupid.
By the way, I want to say
it'll come back.
Occasion, Sean Sheridan actually loved this movie and said it was the best. He hates everything.
He hates everything, so that's good.
Yeah,
good job, Sean.
He said it's the best one. I will say a lot about this. It's very well acted. It looks great. I mean, this is probably one of the better looking of the three movies. In my opinion, might be the best looking as far as cinematography goes, because it looked really good and there's some really good scenes. And Rowan Campbell was really good in the movie. It just was so fucking uneven. Let's get started with the beginning of the movie. That stinger at the beginning, 2019. It's Halloween night. He's going over there to watch that asshole kid. What's with all the kids in Haddonfield being assholes, by the way? Like, seriously.
Well, everyone in Haddonfield's an asshole.
Apparently. Is that something like Gordon Green think everybody's an asshole? Because it's like, but like, what'd you guys think of that opening with him watching the kid? We got to see the thing.
I liked it because it took it back to the original idea of the babysitter on Halloween. I think they're defining the Halloween babysitter's urban legend. We started Halloween with the legend of little Michael Myers. That wasn't a babysitter story, but with Judith. But he was being babysat by the lady across the street, apparently, for part 6.
Oh yeah, Mrs. What
we get that little opening that sets a new legend that is become a little bit of dark history in Haddonfield added to it, just like Michael Myers. So we get this new thing, this new boogeyman as his mother. You made him the boogeyman because your boogeyman wasn't there, or whatever. So I kind of dig that. I also love the opening song, the Monster Mash or Monsters.
It was kind of like Monster Mash, but I hadn't heard that song before.
Yeah, it's Monsters.
Talked about the Headless Horseman and
it was a great. Yeah, it was a great, cool song. Also, I mean, we guess we could. Well, we'll get to the opening title credits, whatever. But yeah, I really liked it. I liked that the little boy was having nightmares about Michael and he was wet in the bed and all those little things that make sense. I like that they're, right away, Michael's, like, people talk he's not in it. Michael's all over this movie. It's just he's not on camera, but his legacy or his effect is present through the whole town and through the whole thing, just as he was in Halloween Kills, although he's very present in Halloween Kills, killing and killing and killing.
One of the things I really liked about the opening scene was how they set Corey up. And this is probably why I feel so uneven about the movie, and we'll definitely get into what I'm going to say. But they set Corey up as this all-American good kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's going to a trade school, He's got a good rapport with both parents. And the kid seems to like him until he becomes a dickhead after the parents leave. But that's also because he didn't want to go to bed, which I don't blame him. I didn't want to go to bed ever.
Especially on Halloween night.
And I really liked the setup of the stairs. You know, the mom's looking for the son, Jeremy, whenever she's getting ready to leave, and she looks up and you see that great shot of all the levels, and that's kind of like a foreshadow shot, which I really, really fucking liked.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool, and I really liked. I kind of like that the kid knew too much about Michael Myers. You know what I'm saying? Like he's, they were like, oh, the boogeyman's gonna get you or whatever. He's like, no, he's not. He doesn't come after little kids. He goes after the babysitter, And I'm like, he got you there, buddy. And then Corey walks in. I'm not a babysitter. This was a really good scene. Again, what if this was the intro to Halloween 2018?
Yeah, it would have worked.
Yeah, it would have worked really well, I think.
I really like one thing that I'm really curious about, like all the little weird things that happen in that scene where the front door opens, the knife's missing, all this stuff. I still wonder, was it the little boy doing this, or was this
Michael?
The shape? Was this evil? Was there? Because the thing, we talk about this movie. We talked about it in 2018 when the podcasters go to see Michael at Smith's Grove or wherever the hell it was he was. Was it Smith's Grove? I don't know.
Grove, yeah.
Okay, so they go to Smith's Grove. When they present the mask, it becomes an elemental thing. Michael is emitting. He's like the sun, and this evil sunshine.
Everybody starts freaking out. Yeah.
The dogs, the mental patients start freaking out. The air changes. They all feel it and sense it. There is and Carpenter always said it. He is an elemental, the evil. Like it's something elemental is what is driving Michael.
The force of nature.
Yeah. So that is there. So like when we see, I think it's in this one at the end of the movie where Michael shows up. There is a wind breeze coming through the door. There is almost like he's evil has breezed in. His like fucking Mr. Dark and the Something Wicked This Way Comes. There's some, evil is coming.
Like the Man in Black in Part 5.
Yeah, like so it makes me wonder: was evil working to set Corey up because he ends up with a knife in his hand? He ends up looking guilty. He ends up. All the right things line up for this to happen.
And that shot matches up with Halloween when Michael's looking over the banister holding the knife. Did you guys get that one?
There's so many callbacks to all of that. And, of course, you talked about The Thing. They were watching The Thing. They watched The Thing in 1978. But it's John's. This movie's a love letter to John Carpenter, for starters. There's so much John Carpenter all over this thing.
It felt like David Gordon Green wanted to make his own slasher, and he threw it in a Halloween movie and then tacked on the end. It's like Hellraiser Inferno.
I raspberry you for that.
That's what they did. They tacked on Pinhead pretty much at the end of the fucking movie.
Well, ever since, from Inferno all the way till Judgment. I mean, they weren't the original scripts anyway. But, if you guys check out if anyone checks out the novelization for this movie, it's really interesting because most of the times, the people who do the novelizations are like hired guns who have no involvement with the movie whatsoever. So you could take or leave any of the details. But with this one of the actual screenwriters did this novelization. And there's a lot of extra, there's a lot more Myers in it. There's a lot of details about what happened, from November 1st to a lot of stuff that happens in 2019. And they really, really hammer home the idea of evil being infectious. Mm-hmm. There's several points where this won't be a spoiler because but there's a moment in this book where Laurie's memoirs talk about how she used to meet up with Loomis all the time and just talk to him, and he was telling her about this patient who seemed fine until they moved him next to Michael's room, and then he started behaving differently and stuff like that. And then there's another scene where this little girl who's being abused is in a cabin with her drunk father, and Michael is standing behind her, and she's in front of him, and she stabs her dad. So there's a lot of the evil being infectious and changing people when they're around Michael. So that's just something I wanted to throw out there. It's actually a pretty good book.
Yeah, he's like this curse on the town. Like, what I started to realize is this whole trilogy is all about the effects of trauma from the very get-go, and like how it affects everyone, and how sometimes trauma creates even more violence or chaos in people's lives, and it's how you deal with fear and trauma. And Laurie says that in the very beginning and when she's writing, it's like, I love that, where she says, do we let him in? And then she cuts back and goes, let it in. It's just that we let evil in.
Let evil in, yeah.
And like, it's like she's
Evil
saying,
in from He-Man?
Evil in from He-Man. But like, it's how each person deals with it. And all three leads, Laurie, Allison, and Corey, do deal with their trauma in different ways. And what I see with Laurie is Laurie has got some people have like made fun of her. Oh, she's all of a sudden Martha Stewart. She's fine. She's not crazy, or she's not all that. I was like, no, this is a woman who has realized that because fear is like a fear of what we can't control. We can't stop this from coming. She can't stop Michael from coming. She realizes in Halloween Kills that everything I did didn't matter. Like all of that stuff I did, training, the prison I made in my house, the trap that I set, I burned him alive. He still fucking lived. I can't control it. I can't stop this thing from coming. So I can either still live in fear, which costs me my daughter, it costs me my life, it costs me my husband's, it costs me all this stuff, costs me my granddaughter a little bit, or I can choose not to be afraid and she's trying to get control of her life back. And that means being positive. Sometimes that is. We live in negativity. Negativity shit happens. She's pretending it was not going to happen again. And then Allison's still kind of angry, I think.
There's that scene where she says, just let me be angry after being rejected by Corey. Yeah.
I think Allison, of course, hasn't had time to really, she doesn't have the same time that Laurie's had to deal with this trauma.
No.
So she's dealing with it in a different way. And I think that's part of why she's attracted to Corey. There's a lot of cool things about the whole relationship with Corey and her that is in the dialogue and some of this stuff. But then Corey, of course, is corrupted by Michael when he gets near him, but also just he becomes angry and he wants to burn the town down. And they meet it in two different ways. Like Allison, I love the miscommunication of those two, because I don't think she totally gets that Corey's being literal.
Not at all. Yeah.
I think she thinks he's being figurative. Like, let's just burn it all down and fucking get out of here. He mees, no, let's fucking burn it down and murder everyone that's wrong.
He's the Joker.
Yeah. When he said, so I like that we have that trilogy of people dealing with this trauma and this situation going on.
There's a couple things I want to say, but like first off, there's a segment actually in the novelization where they reveal like she feels guilty because if she listened to her mom and she stayed at the hospital with Laurie, she wouldn't have been out, and then her mom wouldn't have come looking for her, and so she feels guilty that her mom died because of her. So that was like I felt like that should have actually been in the movie, that line of dialogue. But one thing I want to talk about, because this is a big issue for me, is the treatment of Michael Myers overall.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
In your article. Yeah.
Yes, please.
Michael Myers is not someone who should be shown as weak or vulnerable. I mean, right from the first movie, right? The first movie ends with basically Dr. Loomis proven right. Michael is not a man. He gets shot 6 times in the chest, goes off the balcony. A person can't just get up from that and walk away. So, like right from the beginning, he was never really a man, but you don't really know what's driving him, and I think that's the cool thing with Michael. And I just didn't like seeing Michael in this light. I mean, I just can't imagine we'd see Jason Voorhees in this light. You know what I mean? Like, he should be what he is, which is the personification of evil and You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's this movie falls into Freddy territory so much with the whole power through fear and violence or whatever, like, and kills. Like, there was a script. Was it Del Toro or not Del Toro? Peter Jackson or somebody wrote the one about. Somebody wrote a script about where Freddy was so weak that people were bullying him and beating him up. And they were going into
Peter Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, they were going into nightmares just to beat up Freddy and tease him and bully him. And it's like, I don't necessarily love the whole he transcends with every kill and gets more powerful. What I could accept is that he is weakened just because of the fucking beating he took in Halloween Kills. That was the worst. I mean, I don't know if it's the worst. I mean, he got burned alive in part 2, and I mean, there's a lot of shit that he survived.
You gotta remember, he's been through a lot of shit in the last couple of movies.
But I kind of like that. But yeah, I
mean, he was fine when he killed Karen. I mean, he looked fine.
I think I really think that was something they threw in to make their plot work with Corey. I mean, that's all it is. It's something.
There's something I thought about.
Yeah.
There's something I thought about while watching the movie. So Michael's in this sewer. How, so he hasn't been, he probably was running on Halloween night a lot on adrenaline, I'm sure. Because he got his fucking finger shot off. He got shot in the neck, all kinds of shit happened to him. He was in the fire, probably a lot of smoke inhalation. All this difference. Then he got beat the shit out of, by the people of Haddonfield, and he just kept moving and then to get to that window again.
All he wanted to do was go home.
Get to that fucking window. And, I wonder, over the course, first of all, he's at this point about 64, 65 years old.
Yeah.
And he just went through all that shit. And you could see he was walking kind of like a mummy.
First comes up.
Like Karras in the mummy movie.
That was one thing, because the cop sees his face imprint in the wall or whatever, right? Like, what the fuck is that? It looks like Michael's mask, and he looks.
Oh no, he was standing in the background. He just didn't see him for some fucking reason.
Was that because it looks like there's an imprint of the face in the wall? I don't know. That kind of confused me. But the way that Michael's like this, where his collar's against his face, and it's almost like he was leaning against the wall, like hibernating or something.
Well, that's the other thing. How he could have been super malnourished. That's a weird thing to think about.
Yeah.
But I was thinking
living on rats and stale milk. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably his territory. That guy that says, "I am Michael Myers,"
or maybe he was the people he was taking in there and killing.
But how many people did he kill?
He was eating or something.
Yeah, he must have. That's one of the things I thought about. How is he living off these people? It's like, you think about where he was for 20 years between Halloween 2 and H2O. What was he doing? I think about that shit. So I'm sitting there thinking, you shared the pictures of what's surrounding that bridge, Nate, and there's a McDonald's right there. And I'm like, well, at least we know
he's going to Huddle House and McDonald's.
Yeah, he's going to Huddle House and McDonald's. But for real, what was he eating all that time? He was probably really weak and malnourished.
I found something out, really, the song that the old bum keeps singing is a Greek mythology, I think, about a sea monster.
I looked it up too, yeah.
And it there was a story where it swallowed somebody. The guy didn't know he was inside this creature, and it ended up spitting it back out. So it made me think of Corey going into the belly of the beast and being spit back out. Kind of, why didn't it kill you? So I think maybe that's why he was singing that song. But yeah, I don't necessarily love the whole the part where he looks like he's having an orgasm because he killed the cop. It's what is that? I don't know.
That. Almost like he's feeling reinvigorated or something.
Was he making his O face under the mask?
Oh.
You know what I mean? Oh.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Why didn't I have this queued up? His O face. Yeah, but that was one of the things I was thinking about with Michael Myers was how malnourished he could have been at that point, and he never takes that fucking mask off. He's like Din Djarin, the Mandalorian.
Something that hit me, the scene where Corey goes in and takes the mask from him. I need your mask, and Michael's putting up a struggle, but maybe Corey is also energized by the Shape's power at that point. I don't know.
Well,
But-
there's that scene where it's almost like transference of evil when
Yeah.
you know,
So I don't like. It makes me think. Well, maybe the shape sees kind of like the Emperor saw in Luke Skywalker, a younger, stronger killer, or that I can. Now I'm going to infect this guy and get rid of this old, dead 65-year-old body.
A force of power, yeah.
But what also I noticed when Corey is beating Michael or throwing him around, saying he's just an old man in a mask or whatever. Corey talks to the bully guy, saying you're a bully because your dad bullies you. He's like talking down to bullies, but he's bullying Michael in that situation. He becomes a bully to this killer. This guy who he sees is weak. I don't know. I need to go back and watch it. When he sees Michael limping around, does Corey notice that as this guy don't have any power? I don't know if he does or not.
He was kind of shouting for him to get up during the scene with the cop. The cop knocked Michael down or whatever, and
he's ordering him around, bullying him around. So it's an interesting play on the bully thing. Bully becomes the bully. A bully becomes the bully.
Speaking of bullies, let's talk about those bullies.
What was up with that kid's eyebrows?
Yeah, did he bleach his eyebrows?
He bleached his eyebrows?
The kid with the mullet?
Goodness.
That was one of the ugliest fucking kids. I'm sorry. I have tried not to remember.
There are some kind of unattractive children in these movies. Look like the Delaney's or whatever in the
Mulaney's?
Yeah. The bullies, I kind of like it though because we've seen the jock thing, and not all bullies are athletes or jocks, and like jocks got their own shit going on. Like these,
a lot of times they are portrayed that way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all. So I kind of like people are like, oh, they're bands. Like it doesn't matter if they play instruments. It's like anybody can be a bully.
An asshole's an asshole.
An asshole's an asshole, right? And he's got his gang. If it was just him, he may not be doing that to Corey. If it was just him alone, bullies are fucking pussies anyway. So, one cool note I did notice was My Bodyguard was a big influence on the movie. The Matt Dillon, Adam Baldwin movie, because I noticed they quote the same line. In My Bodyguard, Matt Dillon asked this girl, "Hey, you want to go to the movies?" And she said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Have fun," or something like that.
Oh,
He says that to him. "You want to go to the school play?" She says, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, have fun," or whatever. So they, but it's kind of similar because in My Bodyguard, the nerdy kid hires the Adam Baldwin, the big quiet guy with the dangerous reputation, to be his bodyguard against little scrawny Matt Dillon, who's a little punk. There's a lot of 80s movie influence on the movie, especially like the motorcycle stuff, Grease 2, and all kinds of Christine and all this stuff going on in there.
Yeah, I read another article how he kind of used ideas from Lost Boys in there too, but I didn't really see that too much.
I think maybe just the getting the motorcycle, getting a leather jacket, because Michael goes and buys a brown leather jacket, buys a motorcycle because he sees them on a motorcycle. Well, he had a motorcycle already, didn't he? But he does go
the transformation too, I guess. But
he does go buy a brown.
A little bit too.
He does go buy a brown motorcycle jacket in Lost Boys, doesn't he? When he's out walking the boardwalk, because he sees the other guys wearing leather and all that. Yeah.
Under the boardwalk.
And like make Jamie Gertz like him or something. I don't know.
I would love to get her to like me, even at this age.
Mm-hmm.
There you could feel a lot of other films in this movie, and again, it's like maybe David Gordon Green was like, well, this is my last one, let me just blow my load on everything that I love and do my thing. This is the last chance I get. Just like Rian Johnson in The Last Jedi, let me do my own fucking thing. Forget it's what they set up in the last movie.
If one understood, they had 4 writers, and they kind of just would go off and write something and then pick from the most ridiculous, like, what's the craziest idea of the 4 ideas, and we'll do that.
Didn't they hire the 2 other writers after the fact?
Yeah, he did. They wanted to have different writers on each sequel, so it's always Danny and and
David.
But
Yeah.
they would bring 2 other writers, I guess, just to keep it fresh, to keep new
Haven't they
fresh
learned
ideas.
anything from the Star Wars sequel trilogy and how pissed off people were at that? Come on,
They-
Hollywood.
They announced them all at the same time though. Like when they did Halloween, the Kills and Ends announcement, they announced that Scott Teems was going to be the writer with Danny McBride and David Gordon Green for Halloween Kills, and that these other 2 were going to be doing Ends because they were basically writing them both at the same time.
Mhm.
So like you had David and Danny who were sort of like the ones trying to keep it together.
The cohesion.
Yeah, but they had different people writing the scripts around the same time. That's all I'm saying.
But that's another thing I wanted to say. I watched the Rob Zombie movies the other day, the theatrical versions, and that I felt Rob Zombie's movies in this movie as well. Like there was a lot of this movie that felt like what was going on in Rob Zombie's movies. I don't know if you guys caught anything like that, but I did both times I watched it. I felt like it almost felt like the same Haddonfield in Rob Zombie's movies, if that makes sense.
Well, he did pepper so much. Like even the bullies are driving like a black convertible, like the dude in Part 5, and they scratch the word into the car. Like
Oh my God, I got to tell you something real fast about Part 5. I watched that last night. I think that might be my least favorite of all the Halloween movies now. So I'm paying more attention to a lot of stuff. First of all, I live in Illinois, not far from where Haddonfield is supposed to be. Okay, in October, Haddonfield, Illinois does not look as green and lush as it does in Part 5. That was the greenest I've ever seen it. Plus, in October 31st, never have I seen a motherfucker with a goddamn top down driving around. And this motherfucker, I hate that movie, and I hate Tina. So,
That's living in the Midwest.
there's no fucking way, Jared. You know, you live in the Midwest. Nate, you know too. You're a little bit further south, but shit, you know, no motherfucker is driving around on Halloween with a goddamn top down. Anyway.
It was 30 something degrees last night.
It was, yeah. I woke up this morning, 24 degrees. It's like,
Yep, same here.
and my leaves are almost off my tree, and the yard is almost yellow. It's like,
we can't go on that because then we got to shit on the first movie. So.
Well, the difference between the first movie and the fifth movie is they had millions of dollars of budget, and they had a shit ass director for the fifth movie who decided to change a lot of shit. Anyway, that's another episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, before we move any further, I wanna go through this list because I've been working on this all day. Our followers have ranked the Halloween movies, and this is their definitive ranking. I want to do this while Nate's here. And we won't linger too long, but I want to get through this, and then we'll get back to the movie. I felt like an announcer. We'll get back to the movie. Anyway, so coming in at number 13 is Halloween Resurrection, with an average score of 1.8 out of 5. Halloween 2, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is 2.29. It's number 12. Number 11 is Halloween Ends. So it's sitting at number 11 with our followers at 2.6. Halloween H2O at 2.7. Halloween H2O is worse. I will say that.
What?
Halloween H2O is a pile of shit.
It is.
I hate Halloween H2O. Especially
Halloween Ends is better than H2O.
Yeah, Halloween Ends is way better, in my opinion. Nate's like, Halloween H2O did not age well the other night. And I'm like, I'm going to watch it now. And I watch it. Oh my God, he's right.
It's like a bad Scream ripoff.
Yeah.
It's like one of the.
Really bad. Coming in number 9 is Halloween 5 at 2.8. That's generous. Coming in number 8 is Halloween 6, 2.9. And this is out of 5 stars again. Coming in number 7 is Rob Zombie's Halloween, 3.18. So these two are like decimal points, or percentage points off. Halloween Kills is number 6 at 3.2. 2018 is 3.6. Halloween 4 is 3.89, and number 4. Halloween 3 is a solid 4. So Halloween 2 is 4.3, and of course Halloween is 4.8. So there's how our followers voted or rated the movies. Of course, Halloween 1 it'll never be dethroned. So yeah, there you go. Everybody who went on the Facebook page and did I'm sorry that we did 13 movies in one day, 5-star ratings, but I wanted to get this in before the show and I forgot yesterday because I was an airhead. But anyway, yeah, Season of the Witch is amazing. I don't know where I left off. Let's see here. We got the
finished it all.
one, better than Halloween Kills for sure. Rob Zombie's director's cut, of course. The director's cut of 2 is better, but I left the theatrical in because that was widely released that way. Season of the Witch is amazing.
Let's talk about the Halloween 3 homages with the titles, the blue letters.
I like that quite. Yeah, let's talk about that complete intro anyway. The credits, because the pumpkins opening up, that was really cool.
Yeah, I've noticed while rewatching Halloween Kills yesterday that the pumpkins are handled telling the story of the movie. Like the first one is the rotted pumpkin coming back to life.
The Force Awakens.
Yeah, and then the and then the second one is all these multiple pumpkins on fire, which is the rage of the town, of the people. And this one is evil coming out of itself. Like with evil, there's more evil coming, being like transferred from within the infection of evil. With the
He just walks across the keyboard.
I think I wanted to ask you guys, which one do you prefer of the 3? I really like Halloween Kills.
Yeah, I like the flaming pumpkins floating towards the screen.
But all 3 of them were really cool.
Yeah.
I was watching and I'm like, what are they saying with this, with the opening up, and there's another one, and the last one was a skull, just a full pumpkin, and then it opens up kind of like Halloween 2.
Yeah.
And it was and plus I did love the credits, all 3 of the movies, the title card for Halloween.
Fonts for
Kills.
1, 2,
exactly,
3.
Which I didn't notice on Halloween Kills until, later on.
That's the thing. A lot of people touched that. As much as people hate this movie, Kills, a lot of people hated 2000. That's the thing. Everybody's going on about this one. This whole trilogy's been hated. Like they've all been divisive. But fuck, I lost my train of thought.
I got a dad joke real fast.
Okay,
how do you know how Michael Myers satisfies his gambling addiction? He plays the slaughtery. Okay. That was my friend Brad texted me that. All right.
I forget where I was at.
Yeah, this trilogy has been hated on. I mean, first of all, you start at the beginning. They skipped over a beloved sequel, and 2, they killed off the idea of Michael Myers as and Laurie Strode's brother and sister. Then Halloween Kills comes at. I like Halloween Kills a lot better, by the way. Now that it's been a year and I've watched it a bunch, and it's a fun movie overall. You what, Jared?
I enjoy the kills. There's so much to not like about that movie. Hey.
Fellas.
About Kills?
Yeah.
I didn't feel like there was a need to, and they kind of did a recall in this one, but I didn't feel like there was a need for the mob mentality. We probably talked about this last year when the movie first came out, but the mob mentality kind of left you wondering. Everybody's obsessed with Michael Myers in this town, right? We are not living in the 1930s anymore, so he's not going to be. They're not going to be showing up at midnight to go chase him down in the middle of the fucking sidewalk. Sorry, my doorbell just rang, so I got kind of sidetracked. But the mob mentality kind of messed me up, and then everything that happened in the hospital too. Like there was a lot of frantic stuff that happened in that movie, but I think that's what they were going for because evil begets evil, and then when you get people involved with evil, it starts raising
I don't know.
that mentality to create more evil.
I think fear and hate is a very powerful thing on even normal people.
Yes.
If this guy did what he did in 1978, and now it's Halloween, and you're hearing all this reports of all the. By the time the mob forms, he's killed at least 20 people. probably. He kills a lot of people in Halloween, in the first Halloween movie, Halloween 2018. And if you know that this fucker's out there again, he's butchering people, and our town isn't safe, shit, or else Ted Hollister, which, yeah. People are pointing out, like, Halloween 4 had the mob of the townsfolk getting revenge, but they also do it in part 2 where they're throwing stones at the Myers house. And this is a wake. They're angry. The tribe's been, disrupted or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I do think it's just like, it's kind of like in 9/11 when that 9/11 happened. How many people joined the armed forces? You're like, somebody's fucking attacking us.
How many people ascended on ground zero?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people do feel a call to duty in certain situations. And it wasn't like the entire town was there to track down Michael. I mean, when they find him, it's maybe 25 people.
It's a handful of people, really.
But I think
it was just the way it was handled, really, the way that those people were written. My favorite line, "Evil dies tonight."
Have that
50,000 times, and it just grates on your nerves. I think, and I think
that did not help. That did not help.
I think the mob thing could have worked if it was written better.
Yeah, if it wasn't repetitive, and maybe they just didn't realize when they were filming it that. Because maybe a lot of it was ad lib stuff, like, "Hey, everybody go crazy," and go, "Hey, well, that's night 40 years ago," whatever. And it gets where you're like, when it's weird that no one got in editing, especially because the movie was held back. I said that last time. That no one goes, "Does this sound very repetitive? Should we cut that part out, that line out, and this line out?" I think 4 people just said 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But I do like it. Like, I was watching Kills yesterday, like the scene where they're all going up the stairwell and Tommy Doyle's like punching cops and shit. And they're like it is all chaos. And it's a shot of the sheriff just looking at the screen, like camera, like, like he's like, "I can't stop this. I can't stop all these people doing this." And then once the guy jumps and dies, it's like, oh shit, like, we feel awful. And like, we did this, we caused this ugliness. That what happened is, we talked about Carrie the other day, where until the teacher grabs Amy Irving and like, "What are you doing?" Like, she doesn't then she realizes, oh fuck, what am I doing? Like, I got caught up in the energy in the room of plug it up.
Yeah.
Where normal girls wouldn't have done that if it hadn't been the collective inspiring it or in the air.
One thing I did want to say, though, is I feel like the ending to Halloween Ends, like the last 10 minutes or so, would have been better as the ending to Halloween Kills to that story. You know what I mean? It felt like it belonged with that part of the story. I think that would, with the mob and everything.
Yeah.
Especially.
Oh, sure.
The march,
pontificating his dead body.
Well, I mean, you can probably cut out most of Halloween Ends, honestly, and make a supercut and tack it on to the end of Halloween Kills, and that's it. It's like you said, it's like the first two Star Wars movies, Episode 1 and Episode 2. The first two prequel movies, I should say. So I'm old enough to know that Star Wars was Star Wars. Anyway, you could cut out almost all of Episode 1 and 2, and then Revenge of the Sith is really what you want, and what I want anyway. And that's the same thing with, like, we sat through all of Halloween Ends because we were promised that we were going to get the final showdown between Laurie, and that was underwhelming compared to H2O, as much as I don't like H2O. But like, that's what we wanted to see, was that final showdown. And unfortunately, my copy of Halloween Kills is the fucking the first thing I watched was the goddamn director's cut or whatever it is, where Laurie's walking out of the hospital, we're ready for that showdown. And that's so when I went to the theater, I was like, this 4-year thing, I think that was jarring.
One of my favorite things about Halloween Kills is that Laurie was too hurt to do it. Like, when she knees the cop or whatever, and oh shit, I can't do this.
I ripped the
I love that.
For sure, because if she wasn't, she'd be accused of being a Mary Sue. Like,
Yeah.
So it was good that they had
It
her
was
where she was wounded. And so there's part of me that understands the time jump, and I like it because of Laurie being wounded and with Hawkins being wounded. But
they didn't use Hawkins in the finale.
Hawkins, yeah.
I know. That was the biggest disappointment thing with me, besides the treatment of Michael.
That really is the worst thing about this film, is that Hawkins isn't involved in that revenge or that redemption, because so much of the second movie is about how Hawkins didn't follow through, didn't let Loomis kill the Shape in 1978, and has held that over on himself all these years. That he has no really involvement other than like sending him off to the hamburger grinder, you know. I think that's the only, because I said that, like, the showdown that everyone knew was coming was already so well executed in 2018. That whole sequence where they go the showdown at Laurie's house in the first one was so fucking great and entertaining and exciting. And you had the three women at the end all together fucking him up, and just the excitement of that. Nothing would have topped that, really, I don't think. And it's almost like this movie is almost burdened by having to have that finale. Like, we had to have, because a lot of people are saying, well, this is how it all ends. First of all, this isn't the end of the Halloween franchise. This is not the people act like this is it. I kept reading the same sentence. It took them 44 years to come up with this to end the franchise. Like, it's not over, guys. This is
back.
I talked about it. I was like, I've worked on a lot of Halloween merchandise. That shit sells like fucking bread. It just, not everyone needs it and buys it.
Let me ask you this question. How many Halloween shirts do you guys own? I have like 7 Halloween shirts. They're all different,
Everyone buys them. Every company.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
every company licenses Halloween, and they keep doing it because they sell the fuck out of it.
Fright Rags has like 5 or 6 shirts per movie.
Yeah.
And
they'll sell them all out.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no way in hell that Malika Cod would ever just end his bread and butter. There's no fucking way.
Especially if he loves
I can still make movies.
Yeah.
Anything's over. Michael may be over, and Jamie Lee's over. I mean, that's shit.
Yeah, I mean, Malik was like involved with the series since like Halloween 4. I think he helped like behind the scenes. Like, his father loved it. Like, it's really what kind of holds Trancas together, in my opinion. Right, is the Halloween franchise. So
maybe they should get another franchise. Jesus.
There's no way that it's done. It's just this time.
We've talked about this in length, Seth. They're gonna and Nate and Jared. 2028, they're not going to miss out on the opportunity to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Halloween without bringing another movie. And I just hope they don't overwrite Halloween 78, because that's a nexus point, in my opinion, and they should just spawn from that. But anyway, sorry, Seth.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
I didn't mean to do that.
I just got the middle finger going. Yeah, motherfucker.
It just, when people see Halloween ends,
now you gotta show us your tits. So guilt.
Fuck
off.
Yeah. By the way, Hawkins was like other than Judy Greer, was my favorite character in this movie, introduced in this timeline, and because I don't know, I love Loomis. Loomis is my favorite character, period, in all of Halloween. But like, I really like Hawkins. I love Will Patton as an actor, and him being sidelined was so confusing when he finally showed up, and then the grocery store or whatever. I was like, yeah, here he is. And
I love that scene.
It's weird. I missed you, or I like your face. I'm like,
well, I love the awkward, because it was like she was Laurie Strode again.
Like, she was like 17-year-old Laurie Strode again.
Yeah, and she walks out and she's got that big smile on her face, and like it's just. She's twirling her hair like she did in 78, when she's watching the movies. Like,
Hawkins was no Ben Tramer, but whatever.
I kind of felt like this movie was a combination of the Laurie Strode from the original movie, the Laurie Strode that we saw in the first 2 David Gordon Green movies, and Jamie Lee Curtis herself. Like that part where she says, "Flip, show your tits," and flip, like that's Jamie Lee Curtis. talking there. That's her.
That's
And
not
like-
Laurie Strode talking.
No, that's Jamie Lee Curtis. But it's like three different, like, because Jamie's talked about that in recent interviews. She's saying, "I am her, and she is me," and I think that shows in this movie more than anything. This is
Jason,
not.
we'll get to that. That's a good
She's
question.
not one noted in this movie. She's very layered in this one.
Seth is sitting on something. He's going to explode.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say about Hawkins. It's like they really built him up as being a very important figure to this storyline, right?
Especially when Terry
They mentioned in 2018 that he was there in '78 and he prevented Loomis from shooting Michael, and then they kill him off. But they just changed that back because I think he was a fan favorite character. But then they show what happened in '78, and like even though he was restricted to a hospital bed, there was still like the kind of the growth with him where he was feeling guilt for everything because what he did in '78, and there was like the whole thing with him and Laurie. So it felt like there was a lot of stuff that just wasn't resolved with that character. It just didn't make sense to just have him as a side character when he was kind of built up as being important, and like he was, what I mean? There was this whole thing in Halloween Kills where him and Laurie conveniently both say the same thing, where it's like he needs to die and I'm going to be the one to kill him, and that type of shit. And they don't pay that off.
They should have had a date at least or something in this movie.
Right.
The movie should have been them having a date, not that whatever it was. But like
At the end of the movie, where they're just sitting on the front doorstep, how are those cherry blossoms doing?
I did like, and I know we're going to get there, but I did love the showing all the rooms again, and the mask on the table. Then Don't Fear the Reaper. Did I text you guys like on the way to work? Don't Fear the Reaper popped up the day Halloween Ends came out, and I had no idea it was going to play at the very end of the movie because I was thinking like it popped up. I was like, yeah, this is perfect for driving to work. It's like Laurie and Annie driving to the. Yeah.
I love the music in this movie. Go ahead, Seth.
I'm sorry. Just real quick, I was gonna say like with what Ray was talking about was showing the different rooms at the end. I felt like that was like actually a really brilliant way to end Halloween. Just like end it like the first one, but with everything. It's in daylight now, and there's no breathing of the mask. It was
he's gone.
Yeah, it was
Michael's
cool.
gone at that point.
Yeah, we get to see the mask too, which is kind of cool.
Yeah,
what did Laurie do with the mask?
I bet she wears it while she has sex with Hawkins.
Let's talk about the music. Like, of course, we got "Don't Fear the Reaper" voice to call reused, but the use of the Cramps and the Dead Kennedys and that Johnny Goth. I didn't know who Johnny Goth was until this movie.
I didn't either.
A couple of his music's good. That song, "Come to Me" or whatever, when he's riding the motorcycle, it's kind of it almost has a drive feel, like
very
riding
synth,
around the motorcycle with her on the back.
Synthwave, yeah.
I love that. I love the whole sequence. It kind of it was something I haven't seen in a Halloween movie before. There was something. I like the Allison Corey romance in the movie. I really do.
It
like
was good.
This situation where, because I'd heard. I don't know where I heard it. I heard it this week. Someone was saying that when we find our soulmates, we don't find them. We actually recognize them, and I think that relates to this. Like, she recognizes him, and she talks about how when she would hear people talk about him 4 years ago, that she was searching for him, or it's like she knew him or something. And I think because when Laurie does, because like, why does Laurie set her up? And it's like, well, first of all, when she does meet him, he is a good kid. He is a good guy. He is not an awful person.
Yes.
And I think she sees that.
Her granddaughter is very boring.
And she's not going to go to the dance because she doesn't have a boyfriend, and so she knows she needs to hook her up with somebody. And I think she just sees. I think they both see something in Corey that other people aren't seeing and aren't giving him a chance, and because they themselves have been treated differently because of their past and who they are and their reputations, that they see him as a ally or as recognize them in themselves in some ways. And I think that's why they click so fast. And again, she doesn't realize once he turns that he's being literal and not figurative. Yeah. When he says, "I killed someone," she thinks he's talking about the little boy.
Because he takes her to the house, though. Yeah.
But like he's talking about, no, I murdered this old man.
I killed that homeless guy.
I thought he was going to tell her, honestly. I thought he was going to tell her, but
which
yeah.
is there's a lot of Nightmare on Street 2 vibes in that of Jesse coming to confess to Lisa and Jesse becoming corrupted by Freddy and doing these things without really knowing. And like, is Corey even aware that he's doing some of these things? There's a really interesting thing with Corey, because the thing that does make Corey not like Michael is Corey's totally aware of what he's doing, because his targets are personal. It's a revenge story.
Do you
he's
think
taking out people who have fucked him over or fucked her over?
Sorry, Nate.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if Allison was... Never mind. I cut you off for a dumb joke. I'm sorry. I was going to say, do you think Allison was going to jump his bones in the cabana? Sorry.
Well, the movie's getting so many compare. Of course, the Christine thing is very obvious, but I've seen a lot of Friday the 13th Part 5 comparisons, and but I think Nightmare on Street 2, and even the way the movie ends, like as soon as the movie ended, the first thing I said when they crushed his body, I said, "That's how you get a Freddy Krueger." Because the whole top town, like mob, took him out, like they do Freddy Krueger. And also, it's in an auto yard, like what Freddy was. Yeah, so I'm seeing a lot of like
Kincaid yelling for Kristen. That's what I was waiting for.
Michael's back.
Michael's back.
Back.
Actually, who could it have been? Paul Rudd would have been good.
He turned it down.
There's a question I've been holding off on asking in the group because I wanted to wait for the show. Because like throughout this movie we saw like what felt like a transfer of evil, a Michael's evil to Corey, and like it's almost seemed like it was going to be that passing of the torch, like like maybe they would carry on after this movie with Corey, and there was no payoff to Corey's story almost, and Seth and I talked about that a little bit. Like, it gave me the vibes from, how, like you said, Friday the 13th Part 5, where we thought maybe Tommy Jarvis would end up being the killer moving forward. But then, of course, no. Roy Burns sucked, which he didn't. Roy Burns was fucking awesome. And I love Roy Burns.
Well, if that's the way you feel, just forget it. I think you're out of line.
Yeah, I think you're out of line, sir.
But anyway, so yeah, they had the
very nice
back, of course, and then even Elm Street 2, we could have saw Jesse become Freddy, rather than just like an avatar or whatever. And then what was the other one? Oh, Halloween 4 with Jamie stabbing her stepmom. Like none of the stuff got rejected, and this happened to him right away in the movie. How would you guys have felt if evil had been passed on to Corey, and they were going to continue the story with Corey?
I wish he'd survived. I don't like that he died. I was kind of mad when he died.
I don't like that he died either, honestly. I don't really like that dynamic, but...
They had to, because everyone wanted to see Michael fight Jamie Lee Curtis. That's what it was. I mean, he may have gone another way. They may have let him live.
It was just unceremoniously. Like, Jamie Lee Curtis or Laurie shoots him twice or 3 times or whatever it is, and then he ends up stabbing himself, which I did not expect that. If I can have her.
Well, I dig how they went about it, because he talks to Laurie when they had that little conversation in the house, the old abandoned house, and he says, "If I can't have her, no one will." And he's talking to her, but when he stabs himself, he says, "If I can't have her," it's because he knows that she's about to find out who he really is, because Jamie says that, or Laurie says, eventually everyone finds out who we really are. He knows it's Allison because of the muffler. That's why we have the setup of the muffler, that he can recognize it. So this time he doesn't say the whole sentence. He says, "If I can't have her," which is, if I can't have her, then there's no point in me living, because she's the only shining thing in my life. Like, my life fucking sucks. Everything's horrible. And if I can't have her, then, and I'm going to make you lose her too, by making you look like you killed me.
Why would Laurie pick up the fucking knife? What's her problem?
Maybe it's maybe it's the evil working, just like it made Corey have that knife in his hand when my parents come in the house and see it.
What? No, Yeah. Just leave it. Just leave it. He did it.
She's holding knives in this movie versus the original movie where she's throwing the knife away. It's like, what? Laurie, make up your fucking mind. She even tried to get him.
He literally killed himself with a knife, and she pulled it out. Just leave it where it is. Really?
Yeah.
She thinks she goes save him. Oh, let's just pull that out. You'll be all right.
So, I think the issue with it, because like I kind of feel like if they knew that they were going to continue on with this storyline, maybe they could have had shown a shot of the hallway and Corey's body isn't there anymore. But there's a couple things with that. Is that would fans accept someone else driving this franchise forward?
No.
Right? And then there's another thing too.
Unfortunately, no. Unfortunately, yeah.
Right. I mean, we've seen the reactions to this movie, so even if they did, I mean, I personally would have liked it if he was left alive and maybe there was like a shot that showed his body's not there anymore, sort of like kind of hinting at he's out there.
Right.
But
The Dark Knight Rises, I mean, they what's his name, took over for Bruce, and that was still the end of the series. They could have done something like that.
Yeah, but like another thing too is, I think they needed a definitive end because basically Trinkus leases out the rights, I think, to Blumhouse, and they said a few months ago that Blumhouse is done and that the rights are going back to Malik, and so I think it's just even if they wanted to, I mean, I guess they could have worked something out with Universal and Blumhouse to keep going with this timeline, but I think because the rights are going to be going to Malik and he'll be lease them to a different producer who'll probably want to do their own direction instead of continuing on someone else's direction. You know what I mean?
If he's smart, he'll go back to Blumhouse.
No, I hope they don't. That's just how I feel. Seth and I were talking about this, and somebody asked about could they do an offshoot of a Loomis story, which would be cool. But like, if I would like to see another sequel to Halloween, but no Laurie Strode that follows Loomis. And we talked about it last week, Seth and I, about having this idea that Michael escapes at the end of the movie and he's on the loose, and Loomis is looking for him throughout Illinois rather than being Haddonfield. Anyway. Me and Seth are pinning the script, by the way.
Let's talk about Corey's killing spree. There's some really cool stuff in that. Like I particularly like when they take out the bullies. Like when that girl gets ran over in the gate by the truck, I was like, holy shit! It just pancakes her, man.
Something about that scene reminded me of Halloween 5. Not in a bad way.
It's Halloween 5 and Christine.
Yeah. And exactly.
She was the nicest of the bullies.
Yeah. She gets it. Wham! And he curb stomps her head. But when he's blowtorching the dude's mouth,
I really enjoyed that, and that's why I brought that question up. Like he was he was doing what Michael Myers does without knowing what Michael Myers has really done, And I'm like, okay, this is what they're doing with this movie, and then they fucking fuck it up. Because even when he gets to the DJ booth, I like what he did to the DJ. Pick up the scissors, cut that fucking tongue off. And then I like that it cuts to Allison listening to the radio, and you can hear the needle popping over.
Yeah, man. It's so great. And his motions are totally shaped. Like, that's why I don't think it's Corey 100%. It's almost like Corey has like a half power of the shape. Because he's still kind of conscious, but he's still acting like the shape. Like, he's not just wearing the mask. He's moving like the shape. He's killing like the shape. Like that scene in the radio when he's moving, I'm like, that looks like Dick Warlock or Dick Castle or something.
God.
What is happening, Steven? Jesus.
What in Rob Zombie's Haddonfield is going on here?
Did you see what it says, man? Well, all right.
I literally would have forgot what I was going to say because of that comment.
Yeah, it was what happened to Jizz guy from last. Remember that guy from last week, Seth?
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
I do like that scene with all the bullies too. It's really cool. I mean, John Carpenter's score is fantastic, especially in that scene.
The score was great, by the way.
Yeah. It's probably my favorite of the three movies. But it's like there was one character in this who I actually kind of liked, like a side character, and that was Corey's stepdad. You know, because he was always nice to Corey.
Yeah,
trying to help him.
And he's also a Hard Target fan, so you know, so like,
is that what he was watching?
Yeah, that's what he was watching.
That was Hard Target. Yes,
I love his line where she's like, "No, boys who keep secret don't get custard," and he's like, "Don't mention the
don't mention the motorcycle."
Because I want some
real Pink Floyd The Wall feels there. You can't have any pudding. His mom was awful. She reminded me of the mom from Dirk Diggler's mom in Boogie Nights. You remember that? Cheryl the whore, all that stuff. Anyway, staying on. Go ahead.
I felt really bad for Corey. I really did. I like the character. That's what I hate. Like, people are hating him so much because of the movie he's in, but I don't think this actor deserves any hate. I don't think the character really deserves any hate.
No, he was good in it.
It's where it's really at in this trilogy that is the problem. People are comparing it to Hallmark movies. Oh, it's like a Hallmark writing. I'm like, Hallmark acting. I'm like, y'all are fucking.
That poster, Corey's story. I pulled it up. It's up on my screen right now. That is hilarious. I mean, like, I'm not on the same page with these guys. When I share you guys, like the one I shared earlier, Michael, like, please don't hit me, whatever.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. It's not.
I can laugh at all of that stuff. Like, I don't take it. I don't get mad when I see those things making fun of it. It's when, like, if people like really.
How can you not laugh at this?
If people like really hate him and hate the actor and start giving him shit and start like all that stuff that fans tend to do nowadays.
Like with Rose from Star Wars.
Yeah, like, to me, it's like he doesn't deserve any hate.
I've never seen him in anything before, too.
No, I liked him a lot, and for some reason I'm pulling it up on the screen. I think he could play fucking Freddy. I don't know how you guys feel, because you guys didn't say shit when I put it up. I'm like, hey guys, what do you think about this? And crickets. But like, he's got the face shape. There's something about his laugh. You know, I think he can pull it off.
I think there's a lot of people who can play Freddy. I'm not part of that only Robert shit. Like,
no, neither am I.
So many talented actors in the world.
I'm talking about Roland Campbell. I think he's even got the nose. I think he could play. He wouldn't need a prosthetic.
He's got a great, like, Heath Ledger type smile.
Yeah. Oh, he could play the Joker, and we'll start getting the Joker. Whatever. I liked him in this movie. I think he's a good actor. See it?
See, Luke gets it.
Yeah. That guy gets the Once Upon a Hollywood.
DiCaprio.
Yeah, DiCaprio.
Right there.
So I'm gonna bring something in. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Corey's eye color changed throughout the movie.
Oh, did?
Did it really?
He was like a golden brown. I have golden brown eyes, anyways. But like at the beginning of the movie,
Of course you do.
Nate, oh my god!
What are you saying?
He's getting it. He's getting it. But
hold on. Let me give you guys your time together. Hold on.
You see those eyes, Jared? The Nate boys involved in this too.
Right. Oh my goodness!
Cult, maybe?
Jesus!
You did something dirty, didn't you?
Oh my god!
But
what the bully says.
I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was watching it in the theater, but his eyes were almost black, bud. Because Jamie Lee Curtis made a comment. She's like, "I see Michael Myers' eyes in him," and like towards the last end of the movie, you can kind of see that his eye color changed.
Which I like that. That's another scene that when the father of the boy says he was a good kid and he had no anger towards him. When I saw him, that wasn't the boy who used to mow my lawns.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, there's so many good things in the movie that it's just,
Yeah, it's just it
unfortunate.
felt weird. I'm like, what? I don't know how to feel about this.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about the movie, where to rank it, because it's such an odd turn. But it's not a shitty movie. Everyone's
No,
calling
and
it
I
shit.
didn't
I don't
hate
think
it.
it's a shitty movie.
I didn't hate it at all. I didn't understand why they made the choices they made in this one. But so let me ask. So that scene, it's where he meets Michael for the first time. Michael looks deep into his eyes, kind of like Nate does with Jared, and he sees all the stuff that
Yes.
he's been through, and that kind of felt like he was almost like transferring the evil. That's what I thought. And then when he goes back to Laurie's house and takes his mask back, and it's like does he take that shit back? By the way, also real quick, I like the way they killed Michael, with her slitting his wrist after crucifying him on the butcher
Peaceful
block.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that. It didn't need to be loud and explosiony or chopping his fucking head off or whatever, Anyway, but yeah,
Pontificating him like he's a awesome guy. That's great.
Yeah, I love that she impales him to the table and throws the fridge on him and all. I mean, Laurie was fucking John Wick in his ass.
Oh no, I was talking about when they were when they were walking him to the grinder. But yeah,
Spider-Man 2 vibes.
Yeah,
fucking
after his body through the crowd. He's just
Jesus
a kid.
Christ.
Oh man, Nate, what
I
time you
did
gotta
not
get
like
out of
that.
here tonight?
I'm good for 10 minutes, I guess.
Okay. Because I want to get some more of your thoughts because we can go on for a little bit longer after you pass.
I do need to jump in.
After you pass.
For a pass.
I do need to jump in though.
Jump in and say what?
I do not like Corey and Allison's relationship whatsoever. Okay, so she did try to explain it away, but that was from Jamie's reference. That was from Laurie's reference, how she tried to explain it away. But
I'll leave that comment on
you get this vibe that Allison is like completely infatuated with him as soon as she sees him. Like this is like too forced and too rushed. Like, yeah, she knows, that might be that guy, but like, I don't know how many times you guys have seen the movie. I literally watched it the second time today, but she looks at him and she just gives him, I'm gonna fuck you look.
Shit.
As soon as she sees him,
she
like,
likes him right away. It's a
immediately.
I
don't like it.
The parallels of Romeo and Juliet, because Romeo and Juliet, they do fall instantly in love, and they do like want to run off and get married after like seeing each other twice, and like it is kind of like that.
Got some, So yeah,
and I really like her forwardness. Like you don't see that.
You don't see that at all.
Like he's definitely the one who's kind of like.
We're all guys. We don't see that kind of shit.
No, he's very like he doesn't know how to take her because she's like, I actually didn't come here to get my car worked on. I came here to see you again, or all. He's like, she's the one, saying the corny jokes to make him laugh. Like the whole why is the tire like how the bike couldn't stand it because it's too tired.
Meanwhile, I'm looking at him like he's some kind of fucking chud.
Yeah, he's just so. I think he is. He was already probably kind of a nerd anyway before the incident, but now he probably has no social interaction with anyone. He probably hasn't talked to a girl in 4 or 5 years. He probably hasn't really talked to anyone other than his mom.
He's the top guy at this point.
Yeah, so like he is extremely awkward. So when Laurie shows him this bit of kindness, he does get in her truck with her. And when Allison brings us on, that's what's really sad. Like when he goes out with her, he's wearing the mask. He feels free enough for the first time, probably 4 years, to take that mask off and really smile and enjoy himself. And then he happens to run into that mother,
the mom,
who just immediately returns him down to where he's angry at her. And I love that scene where he's like, "Where were you?" And she's just holding her hands out, like, "I'm here." And he walks away, and then she kind of like starts like crying. It's like with her just holding her hands out for him, like, "I'm here to help you," or I see someone who just doesn't know, she sees a bit of herself in the shit that she's dealt with. I like the idea, like some of the talk, like the dad saying he would get pissed off at other people who would get angry at him because it's like they were making it about them. my pain about them. And we see that a lot nowadays. People making other people's shit about them and not really about the person who's actually in need of help or in trouble or traumatic. And so I like a lot of those things in that film that I haven't seen in a lot of movies like this. I think there's a lot of things being played around in this movie that we don't see. People are saying it's just another slasher film. It's like, I don't think so. Just like Rob Zombie played with a lot of trauma and humanity in his Halloween movies that people completely overlook. There are consequences in Rob Zombie's movies. We see it in Laurie. We see it in Annie. We see it in Brackett. We see it in all those people that they have been affected by. Because in most of these type of movies, people will just, oh, well, it's all my friends died last summer, but now I've got a whole new group of friends, and we're going to the rave. Yay. And it's like, no. Like, Rob's movies and this movie is showing, like, fuck, no, our lives aren't, like, Allison looks lonely. Even, like, she doesn't have, she's treated like shit at work.
And she's got this creepy 50-year-old cop after her.
Yeah, and, like, the, oh, shit. Chair breaking. Maybe that was the shape.
Evil's infecting your chair.
Evil infected my fucking chair. You said I was going to get out, taken out. But you know.
Chair dies tonight.
Yeah, I do. I like the relationship myself. I wish there was. I think it could have even been longer or more, and I wish we had seen the parallel of Hawkins and Laurie as well.
Yes.
A dual, kind of a little Jackie Brown, Max Cherry shit going. Like
That was my biggest issue because I liked it, but I just felt it was forced. We already knew.
There's so much to tell.
We already knew that the one with Hawkins and Laurie was there already, but yes. Had they had a chance to flesh it out a little bit longer,
and probably because they knew the fucking audience wouldn't go along with it because they don't want to go along with it as short as it is now.
Corey should have been introduced in the first movie. They were about the same age. He could have been in the high school.
Yeah.
You know, he could have been like had a crush on her or something,
Right.
and been jealous of the what's his name with the dumb hair. How's your back, Nate? After that, it's probably not good.
It's just, yeah.
There's a lot that I you know about this one movie, like, you know, and I'm gonna go back to Star Wars again. They at least set up Anakin and Padme in Episode 1, and I know that the love story in Episode 2 was rushed and awkward, but this one was rushed too. And I made a joke saying that I haven't seen such a bad love story over a movie since Episode 2 or whatever. That's a joke because this one was a little bit better. It just was so bizarre that Jamie Lee Curtis or Laurie would send her, you know, to the town pariah. By the way, I just was sent something on Facebook. How the fuck does Judy Aronson look so good at 58?
Mm-hmm.
She looks better than Danielle Harris, who's 45. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I love Weird Science. Judy Aronson has always been hot for me since I was like freaking 5 years old.
Friday the 13th part 4, the second Friday the 13th movie.
Yes.
But
I remember the most from Weird Science.
Yeah, I know her from Weird Science myself.
Yeah, well, yeah, me too. She's so pretty. She's 58. Her and Kirsty Cotton, motherfucker.
That's crazy that she is less than 5 years younger than my dad and looks like that.
Yeah, I want to see her naked.
Anyway,
so, yeah,
Sorry.
the relationship and the way how forward Allison was, that was the problematic thing for me with that relationship. Was like, first of all, again, Laurie takes the town pariah right to her granddaughter, and you know, she like, and I know what you were saying, Nate, about how they were like kindred because they both went through these traumas. And
I also think there's some shit with that ex-boyfriend and how he's kind of harassing her, and maybe she's like, well, if I have another guy, maybe he'll back the fuck off.
Right?
Yeah, that guy, that was I think he was a poorly written character, that guy. He from the beginning, I wanted to punch him in the face. Like, I pulled you over because I wanted to, because you missed me, or something. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. Get out of here. By the way,
We
how
broke
old
up. Get the net.
Yeah, get the net.
He looks at least 15 years older than her.
He does, because she's got to be 22, 23.
21, 22.
Yeah. And I think Corey would be 22, 23 as well. So they had to have gone to high school together.
Well, he was 21, and when
he was
the incident
21.
happened, he said, "I'm 21 years old. I'm not afraid of a scary movie." Or
Yeah.
whatever. So
And then fast forward to 4 years.
She would have been like 18 at the time. So he's about 3 years older than her.
Yeah, she probably is supposed to be a senior in high school. Anyway, but now this Blumhouse series is over. I gotta ask the question for all three of you guys: which timeline's your favorite?
Well, my top 3 movies are in the Loomis,
Thorne,
Jamie Lloyd, but if you stop at 4, I could lose 5 and 6 all day long. Like I think 1, 2, and 4 are my favorite.
I think you're allowed to do that because people stop with H2O and ignore Resurrection. It's like, no.
They should.
They should.
But I really like this. I like this timeline as well. I do like. I have liked the David Gordon Green movies, even if the third one feels out of place. I still really enjoy all 3 films.
They're growing on me quite a bit. I watched 2018 and Kills the other day, and I really enjoyed them, especially back to back, those two. You need to bounce, Nate?
I'm good.
Okay, I don't want to hold you and make sure you get all your say in tonight, because after this we're never talking about Halloween again. No. But I agree with you. My 3 favorite movies in the series are, of course, Halloween 2 from '81, and Halloween 4. And I go back and forth on whether or not 4 or 2 is my second favorite. Seth, what about you? Which is your favorite? I know what it is already, but
yeah, it's what I call the Loomis saga: 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. Man, I love those movies because I love Dr. Loomis. He's my favorite.
Yeah,
he's my favorite character in the series. I couldn't give a shit about Laurie Strode.
Yeah, I know, me too.
I honestly wish they would have given us another bit of Loomis in this one too, because they did a lot of flashbacks.
Yeah,
not as much as the last one, obviously, but
flashback. That's still my favorite thing of the whole trilogy is that flashback from Halloween Kills. Jared, do you have a favorite timeline?
No, I mean it's the same as you guys, but I mean I love Halloween 3. It's just because obviously it's the one off, but yeah, the first 2.
That's technically a timeline too, because it's the anthology timeline.
Yeah. Which, like, I know we kind of talked about this very briefly in our chats. This storyline could have easily set up a fucking timeline to do something different. It doesn't have to be Michael Myers to be the Shape. It doesn't have to be that guy that kills every time. Like we were talking about, it might pass off the torch. But that movie 3 gave us the possibility that we can actually have different Halloween movies that don't have to do with Michael Myers.
Not anymore.
Well, yeah, I think we're at a point where we can, but I just don't know. There's so many stubborn fans who. Yeah. I wrote that post about can we get past it not being Michael Myers?
Right.
Can we just accept that it's the Shape, and Shape takes different form? That's how the movie ends.
Mm-hmm.
And can we get past not having to have the coveralls and the white mask, because working that in organically is problematic to any new writer.
Have you heard of some of the
just a copycat thing?
Have you heard of some of the ideas they were trying to do for Halloween 4? Like an all-black costume and a different kind of mask and all this other shit. Like, there's some ridiculous costume ideas. And of course, I mean, Michael Myers is one of the most iconic horror slasher killers of all time. And he's a cash cow. And at this point, we're 13 movies in and 12 of them revolve around him. I don't think they can go back to the anthology way at this point. I mean, I think it's almost time to take the Halloween 3 title off of Halloween 3 and make it just Season of the Witch. It is a good movie and I like it, but I don't think you can go back to the anthology. If they do, people are going to bitch and word of mouth will spread and they won't make any money. What's that?
And that's unfortunate.
Listen to me. What, Seth? What?
Well, I mean, I don't understand why Trancas doesn't do this, where they rotate between Halloween Presents anthology stories in between.
Halloween Presents, that's a different situation.
In between doing Michael Myers.
Yeah, that's different. I think that could work if you can label it as Halloween Presents. It's like the Star Wars.
Maybe they should do a TV series next.
Oh Lord, no. You think they should, or you just? No, I'm just saying, like,
that
Rogue
way
One
you make
and Solo.
that way you're not restricted to just telling Michael Myers movie stories, but
Right.
you have an option to just do a series about Halloween tales, and it could all in some ways be incorporated together, linked in some ways, where you make the movie whatever's really successful or what works, then you make your movie, and you've already established with the audience that they like these new characters, these new storylines, and then you have somewhere to go instead of just saying, well, we got to start all over because Michael's 75 now, and we got to, what do we do? Do we do one and then a sequel to one, or a sequel to 1 and 2? And people are like, I think they should do a sequel to 4. It's like, they're not going to do that. Like, they're not going to like sequel a sequel that's been over for 30 something years. Like, they're not going to start in the, like, do a sequel to part 6. That's just never going to happen.
No, they'll do a sequel to part 1, if anything.
Yeah, it'll just be the same shit again. It'll be H2O or this series again, or where it's just, well, what we're going to do is a direct sequel to the first one, or a direct sequel to the second one, or a direct. It's like, we got to get away from that. We got to be able to say, all right, let's have standalone movies. Because this movie could have been a standalone movie without any Michael Myers or Laurie Strode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it had that anthology feel.
And they could still be connected to the world of Halloween, like the events that happen in Haddonfield happen, and like this is all in the same. Like, for example, what about a story about remember the caretaker of the cemetery in the first movie talking to Dr. Loomis before Dr. Loomis rudely interrupted him? By the way, about Charlie Bowles, you know what I mean? Like, because the story he was saying, 15 years ago. So the same year that Michael killed Judith, Charlie Bowles killed, or presumably killed, his family. We don't know because Loomis cockblocked us on getting.
I wanted to hear that story.
Kind of a dairy Stephen King's It kind of thing, where there's all these histories of things that happened. So you'd make a show just called Haddonfield.
That's kind of interesting.
And it's an anthology of this town.
But the thing happened in Russellville, though. With the guy
over in Russellville.
The thing is, who's to say?
Hardin County, then.
Hardin County, or Illinois.
Warren County, or whatever it is.
How about just Illinois? Midwest Tales.
They're taking them to Hardin. They live in Warren County, right?
But the thing is, who's to say that Halloween 3? Well, never mind. I take it back. Before I even say it, I forgot Halloween was a movie in that universe.
Right. Yeah.
I almost had to take my horror card and throw it in the fucking trash and burn this room down.
But I had an idea too, and this is kind of I guess it's kind of a stupid idea, but my idea was to do a sequel to Halloween 3 where it's I don't know, 20, 30 years later, whatever. But you introduce.
You scared everybody off, Steven.
Jesus Christ!
Sorry, Seth.
The dude next to you, I guess that's Seth. I don't know.
Go ahead, Seth.
But basically,
you might have a stalker instead of Christy.
But introduce that that there was a real Michael Myers that John Carpenter's movie was based on.
Oh, okay.
And Shamrock Novelties, because maybe someone's sticking their nose where it doesn't belong, and so Shamrock Novelties, basically they could say one of the early prototype masks, affected the real Michael. There's no Laurie. Maybe he has his own Loomis, but things were different, of course. But Shamrock Novelties makes a mask based on John Carpenter's movie for this real Michael Myers, and then you spin off from there with doing a different type of Michael Myers story. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's fucking.
That's possibilities. I'd be open to all of it because we've already seen. Because I've been saying this for years. There's just not enough to keep spinning out.
I've seen a worse sequel, Seth. I've seen a worse sequel.
There's so little places for these movies to go until you start making big changes, because otherwise it's just and that's what people wanted this movie like to be, just another Michael Myers fighting Laurie Strode movie. I was like, we've seen that like what 5-6 times now. This is our 7th movie, that's right?
Yeah.
In Halloween, so
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was saying I'd like to see something following Loomis, but there's tons of stuff they could do
with the Haddonfield story or just Warren County, whatever. You could do a prequel of Dr. Loomis. You could have an episode where he goes to meet Michael.
Oh, shit.
You know,
who would be our
maybe you've
Dr.
got other
Loomis?
patients that are just as batshit crazy as Michael.
yeah, there's so many little stories you could do. You could go back and you could get those fan episodes like Dr. Loomis meeting.
And I want Simon Pegg.
Or
I'm stuck on that now.
or the Charlie Bones story. You know, you do all these little things like the comic books did that. The comic book, you know, I did that drawing for Steph, who did they did the one about the newscaster who goes, like, it tells a story of what happened at school that Michael broke into and wrote Sal in on the wall, on the chalkboard and put the knife.
Sam Hain, please.
In the story, it was like a news reporter who was trying to compete with the guy that we see in Halloween 2 on the news, and she breaks into the school, like trying to find something, and you know, so you have all these little spin-offs. You make the episode where Michael kills the Phelps garage guy, which I was going to do as a fan film. You do all these little things where it's a 30-minute episode, and you do all these little spin-offs. You can.
Why don't you do that? That doesn't sound like it would take much.
I didn't want to do more fan films, but if I did, I bet I could get $50,000.
Maybe more. Maybe more.
Didn't she mention Sam Hain? Like, did you guys see that on the title of her memoir?
Yeah, it's called like Survivors.
Or
whatever. Yeah. Survivors, Stalkers, and Silent.
Stalkers, Survivors, and Sam Hain, I think. They kind of blurred out Sam Hain, but you could still see it. I was like, yes. How does she know about that? How does she know
She
about
talked
that?
to Loomis, like Seth said. She had all his interviews or meetings with Loomis. Which that could be an episode, you know? Who knows?
Yeah, I'm curious. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in a meeting between Laurie and Dr. Loomis in mid-'80s or something like that. Like,
well, then there's that story that comes from the novelization of the original movie where the guy like murdered the girl because he was jealous and he was forced to walk the earth, and that's what's inspired. Like, been talking to Michael Myers. That's what made Michael Myers do what he did. That was the voices he heard. Was this guy who was forced to walk the earth or walk forever?
Yeah.
Or whatever. There's all kinds of possibilities, and I think that would be a smart route because television's where it's at right now.
you know what?
Chucky's doing it and doing well, and
Why not do it from from the perspective of the caretaker of the cemetery? He could be like the crypt keeper, you know, telling these stories to anybody who comes to visit that cemetery. Oh, back in Russellville, Charlie Bowles, he brought an axe in, and then Dr. Loomis is like, "Hey, shut the fuck up! What I need to know where Judith was buried." There is a lot of things they could do because there's legends all over the place in Illinois, and I don't know. I want to see more Dr. Loomis, and I want to see somebody else tackle Dr. Loomis. That's what I want to see. Okay, anybody watching, curious to know what you'd like to see in another Halloween movie or a series or whatever. They should make a series for Halloween that is about these mystical relics that they find, and no, that's Friday the 13th, the series. Imagine being a kid who loved Jason and watching that show, never seeing Jason.
You have Connell Cochran be your host.
Dude, that'd be great. I love Connell Cochran. He's an underrated horror villain in my opinion. I fucking love that guy. He's so good. He's got.
You get Tom Atkins to be the host.
I mean, how old is Tom Atkins now?
He may not be around.
Yeah, I mean, he's a Loomis series. Yeah. How many different cases people did Loomis have? You know, like I'm curious to know if he had any. And then Michael Myers is probably just his most high profile. You know.
And I would assume that Michael Myers is the one that kind of made him kind of seem crazy to his peers. So
that would be kind of show.
I want to see a short about Lester, the last days of Lester.
The dog.
The dog. Yeah.
I mean, we saw the last days of Lester. Straight
I
up.
want to lead up to it. I want to feel.
I want to see everything. I want to see a remake of Halloween 1978, but through the eyes of Michael Myers, because he got to see Annie's boobs. Sorry. It's funny, we were talking about that Danielle Harris and Scout Taylor, whatever her name is, podcast, and how sex sells and all this different stuff, and I keep talking about boobs. What's wrong with me? Like, I was watching, they showed Halloween. Oh, spoiler alert, on that 101 thing today, and it was still TJ sold boobs for a second. I paused it. I'm like, man, she had great boobs.
Oh, we did talk about Nick Castle flashing them at the
Nick
bar.
Castle,
See anything you like?
That's right. Nick Castle. Yeah. It was good to see him without a mask on. I love boobs. Yeah, boobs are my favorite thing on earth. I'm not gonna lie.
A couple of boobs wrote this movie, apparently.
Oh, poor boobs. Although, what's his name? God, I can never remember his name. Danny McBride. He's kind of a boob.
I love Danny.
I
probably need to head out.
All right. Any last words on this movie before you go?
I've seen it 4 times now. I like it. It's still middle of the ground for my ranking. Well, it's anything new. It's not really giving it a fair chance. I just think that I agree that it's a letdown as part of an ending or to a trilogy. Very odd, but I do like the movie. I don't think it's a great movie. I don't think it's a perfect. I don't think it's written masterfully. But I also don't think it's written terribly, like everybody's saying. I think it's a B movie, like a B grade movie. I don't think it's an A+ greatest Halloween movie ever made or anything. It has a lot of it owes a lot of credit to other movies that it's pulled from, but I think it's got a lot of stuff that's really interesting in it, and I like it. I think I don't know what else to say about it. It's like you said, it's a weird. It's hard to put like anything like solid down. It's like where or how I feel about it because it's still new. I mean, we're not even a week old, and it's so different. And it does feel like an awkward Halloween movie, but so did Halloween 3. So did Resurrection. Didn't feel like your Halloween movie. I don't like Resurrection. I like this a whole lot more. Again, I put this in the middle of the franchise as far as where I would rank it. And I'm not even saying it's not as good as some of the movies I'd put above it. Oh, that's nostalgia. So that's what's really hard with rankings of things is nostalgia plays such an important part in how we feel about things like this. And anything new is really hard to fall in love with.
Well, I mean, I wanted to do a show eventually of re-ranking the Halloween movies like we did last year, whenever it was. But I think I want to wait a year to do that. So next October, we'll do a Halloween ranking show with all 13 movies because it took me a year to really kind of start to enjoy Halloween Kills. So maybe in a year from now, we can revisit Halloween Ends and see how we feel about it then. Yeah. So anyway, if there's nothing else, Nate, you can bounce, and we'll see you next week. We're talking about what? Frankenstein. Yeah, pretty excited about that show. All the Universal Frankenstein movies you can handle.
Night, guys.
So, all right, Nate. We'll see you next week, buddy. We're gonna lose all the Nate masturbators. Anyway, yeah. So, what do you guys think about that idea of we're going back and ranking the Halloween movies next October after it's been a year and after we've seen Halloween Ends a few more times? Because right now I have no clue where to pull it or put it on my list, and I keep thinking like of ways to try to rank the Halloween movies. Like, I don't know. It's such an odd movie. I didn't hate it, but I did have Last Jedi flashbacks for sure.
It's kind of the feeling I had too. I didn't hate it, but did I really like it? Some
Where-
parts,
where-
yeah.
Where does it rank for you guys so far? Seth, I know you put it at number 12, I think, right?
I did. It was that was like my out of the
Initial,
theater,
yeah.
knee-jerk reaction.
Right.
Like as soon as I walked out of the theater, I was like, "Yeah, I'm putting this between Resurrection and 5." My two least favorites. Like, but watching a couple more times and kind of just calming my fanboy ass down, there's things I like about it. It's still not like the issues I have with it. Like those are pretty big issues to me, especially the treatment of Myers, the lack of Hawkins, the way he doesn't fit well. So, but I don't know if I'd have it as low as I put on Thursday when I got out of the theater. So,
I had it at 13 after I walked out of the theater. I was like, oh my fucking God. I felt so let down. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. If I could describe it in just a couple words of how I felt after the movie was over, it was let down. Like,
That's fair.
let down, and I can't believe how much people.
That's a fair reaction.
Yeah, I mean,
Especially like we already talked about, this is supposed to be the end of a trilogy that they've set up for 3 years, 4 years. Oh, hello. I'm not one of those guys, though.
I'm not one of those guys. But listen, I put this up the other day because it was the anniversary of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 03, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, if I put up the poster or a picture of Leatherface, it's not going to get very many, reactions or comments. This has 50 shares, 66 comments, and 722. I knew it would because I mean, look at it. She's got a body on her, but like,
well, she was a likable character. There,
Very,
was an absolute
very, very smart too.
It was an absolute showcase of Jessica Biel's body, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I'm just saying like that's the whole like 722. It's like Sherry Moon numbers over here. You know, did the guy upright do coke? Jared, did you do coke?
that's just Jared.
Yeah, that's just Jared.
What?
I don't know. Jessica's
What the
thing,
fuck
yeah.
is happening?
I have no idea. Anyway,
I'm too old for that shit. Whoever that was.
yeah. I don't know. That's what I'm running on right now. Coke and Coke.
I've had my college days. I'm too old.
This guy is literally Danny Glover from. Anyway, so what else do we want to discuss before we pack it in for the evening? Because I got a taco supreme that's talking back at me. No, I'm joking. I don't.
I want to say this movie's gonna work, kind of like Kills did. Like, yeah, we fucking tore it apart when it first came out. It did,
Me and Seth nearly came to blows.
and it did kind of like, come down a little bit, after a few more watchings, and like letting the fire die down, I guess, so to speak. But I mean, this is a totally different monster. Like, we all had our beefs with Kills. This one is a totally different fucking movie, and I don't know if I can get past it. Even watching it again 6 or 7 months later, like, I mean, there are good things about it. There are terrible things about it, but I think they did Michael Myers very dirty in this movie.
Yeah.
Pontificating his death at the end with the mob, like that was fucking weird. Like, he's not like a fucking god or something. Yeah, we're gonna go destroy his body and stuff, but that whole fucking scene was just fucking weird. Like, if they did that to like Michael or like to Jason Voorhees, like, that'd be like, okay, we're just gonna lay him down and we're gonna carry him 7 blocks. Like, they're literally giving Michael Myers a fucking funeral. Like, no, he does not fucking deserve a funeral if he's, that way. But that was just my initial response when I was in the theater. I looked at Beth and I was like, are they really fucking giving him a funeral right now?
You know what it reminds me of? Revenge of the Sith when Padme's getting her funeral.
God damn you and your Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
God damn Star Wars.
I think it was more about the townspeople getting their closure because the whole theme of the movie was that because Michael disappeared, that they were basically assholes to each other. They wanted, they were so caught up in their fear and paranoia, and they were, turning against each other, and and for the townspeople to see, okay, this is the real Michael Myers.
Yeah. They've been living in that fear.
We're going to make sure we get rid of him for good, which is, by the way, this is probably the only way you could get rid of Jason Voorhees, because that motherfucker can come back with lightning.
Yes.
So, but
and he's stronger too.
Like I understood what they were doing with the end, because it, the if you look at the movie as a whole, and even with kills before it was very much about what Michael does to the people,
the community,
to the whole community, and so it kind of made sense in that bit. Like I see what you're getting, Jared, because there was that moment where they're carrying him like Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, we won't tell anybody. They give him his mask back.
But I get where you're coming from too, because this town's lived in fear for how long or whatever. But
44 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's one
I literally looked over here at her and laughed when they were like carrying him to the car grinder, and I was like, "Oh my god, are they really doing this?"
With Steven? That's the question. I think. Let me ask you this though: if they took Jason Voorhees' body, put it in a grinder, I think the grinder would break. Just saying.
Yeah, he's like the Chuck Norris of.
He is. No, he is. Come on. He is. Jason Voorhees is more unstoppable than anybody. And anybody who says Michael Myers would beat Jason Voorhees is fucking... They're on coke. So...
Apparently.
Yeah. Anyway. I think...
I think it would be a good fight, though.
No, it wouldn't. Jason would rip him apart.
Yeah.
Michael's health. He wouldn't even catch him.
Well, Jason's got tunnels. Anyway, I think this one's going to end up growing on me because it is a good movie overall. It's well shot. It wasn't what I wanted, but like, I did like the way they killed Michael. It was very intimate, as Luke said, which I kind of like. But that scene where she kind of lingers holding his hand, like that would have had way more weight if they were brother and sister. Just saying, that was something they really shouldn't have gotten rid of. Is the brother and sister element, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because what's the fucking point? I know that they have the revelation, or Laurie gets the revelation from Hawkins and kills that he's not after her, but like, she still took it fucking personally anyway. So get over it, Laurie. It was 4 years ago. I don't blame her. I'm not
cherry blossoms.
I'm not over my first girlfriend, Wendy Winnett, from when I was 6. So whatever. Anyway. What do you guys think? You wanna get off this stream and get ready for next week's episode where we talk about the Frankenstein movies from Universal Studios from 1931 to 1944, I think. Is that right, Seth? You're the mastermind in all this.
Which are we just talking about the first 4? Frankenstein, Bride, Son, and Ghost. I feel like those are the core 4, and after that, it's just all the crossover stuff, and I don't really.
What do you want to do? Okay, because this is Seth Miller's show.
Wait. Let me get my box.
I'm asking. I'm suggesting. Yeah.
Shit, Earl, that's $10 for I didn't notice that. No, I think that's fine. I mean, because when you get to House of Frankenstein and House of Dracula, they're not that great. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do the.
We got OG, we got Bride, we got Son and Ghost, and then that's where we meet the Wolf Man.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Yeah, Frankenstein meets the Wolfman. That's a good one too. Or Wolfman meets whatever the fuck it's called. Who cares?
So we could either talk about the first 4, because I know it does cross over to the Wolfman on the 5th one. I don't know.
The thing is, like, the first 4 kind of have a linear thing going, whereas when you get to Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, they kind of like ignore everything. They ignore the whole thing with Igor basically
Yes.
putting his mind in the, you know, they got rid of the whole thing with him being blind and everything. And not to mention, that movie feels more like a Wolfman sequel than a Frankenstein sequel.
Yeah, we'll just do those to Ghost. That way it'll be easier because we covered, what was it, 5 Mummy movies, and boy, I was mummied out. And that was a hard episode to get through when we started talking about the last couple because, you know, I already forgot the tagline. The mummy's on the loose and he's dancing with the devil.
Yeah.
Hold on, I think I still have it. Mummy's on the loose and dancing with the devil.
Gooby.
So next week we're doing that, and then the week after that we're doing Invisible Man series. And then once we're done, I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think we're going to do a universal ranking, top 20 or something like that, Universal horror films from the 1930s. Yeah, it's 1956, I guess, would be the last one.
I was gonna say it'd have to be.
Yeah, and then we'll go back.
We're not doing an episode on the Invisible Man, right?
We are. That's the first episode of November.
November. Okay.
Yeah, and then after that, we'll get back to regular shows and doing the 2 movies we've never seen before shows, and we'll get back to Nate doing his wonderful Amazon 5-star review and 1-star reviews. There's a lot of stuff that we're gonna cover. We're gonna do a whole new segment of Chop Suey with Seth Soar, and you gotta figure out a way to use that. Like, Seth, how'd you feel about this movie? Oh, I hated it. Bam, Seth gives it the fucking chop, and I don't mean it's fucking fortune.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the only way that's gonna work.
Yeah.
That wasn't me. That was the evil.
That was the evil. The evil was taking hold. Yeah, she became a demon, an instrument of evil.
Oh my god.
Anyway, yeah.
I watched Demons 2 not too long ago, and that fucking baby.
I love Demons 2. That's better than Demons 1. I don't care what anybody says.
The baby?
Yeah. Well, I just have me and Sally have a love affair. I was not invited to her party, but whatever.
That baby in Demons 2. No.
Demons 2 is awesome. Demons 2 is awesome. Demons. Sally's transformation is legendary. Anyway. Yeah, I love that fucking movie, man. I love Demons 2. Let me have it. Thank God the bill.
Demons 2 is better than 1. No.
Luke even said it. I think Luke's just trying to get in my corner here. Anyway, yeah, we got a lot of shit lined up. We will have an end of the year show.
I love you, Luke, but no.
We'll have an end of the year show with I think we're top 25, top 30 of 2022 because I've seen 33 fucking horror movies that were released this year. And Halloween Ends currently is like number 25, so I think Nate put it
well placed.
6 or something like
well placed, honestly, because there's a lot of really good original horror out there right now.
Yeah, Barbarian's number 1 for me right now. Hellraiser's number 2, and I think The Black Phone is number 3. So good year for horror though overall.
I gotta catch up. I need to quit working so much.
Yeah, fuck the job, fuck money, and watch horror.
Right.
No.
Right.
I mean,
get rid of money.
Well, if I were you, Jared, what I would do is I would take a look at all 3 of our lists and just see like our top 10 or 15 movies that I know you've seen some of them already, but just watch those. That's what I would do. Check out the scene.
That was like 2,000 messages ago.
Well, it's on. Look, go to my Facebook profile. It's the pinned post on my Facebook profile is all 33 that I've seen this year. And
Okay.
Seth will gladly, Ted Hollister would gladly give you his list, and I'm sure Nate could shit his list out really fast anyway, because you know how he is with lists.
He's very fast.
Yeah. So, but yeah, because that's the show I'm really looking forward to, because there has been a lot of fun movies this year. And if you haven't seen Off Season, check that out. If you haven't seen Mullet, check that out. Shudder is the place to be. VHS 99 comes out Friday, I think. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to rewatch the first 4, I think, and then I'm going to do a ranking of the 4 VHS movies. So also I'm going to work on a Resident Evil ranking. I'm working on my 1980s rankings right now. 85 should be published. I did a fucking new article on underrated horror, thanks to the 150 responses we got from our followers. I asked, what's an underrated horror movie, expecting to get like 5 or 6 answers. We got 150. So now I got plenty of movies to write about. I did the article. Yeah, it was Stir of Echoes, which I think is a great movie, underrated.
Oh, yeah.
Streaming on Peacock. Yeah, I know Seth likes it. Keith loves it. Jared, you probably like it. The Ninth Gate's another one I'd like to cover with Johnny Depp.
The Ninth Gate is literally one of my favorite movies of all time.
I love that movie. Roman Polanski, did he do that one?
I saw that in the theater when I was 18 years old.
Unscrupulous. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Frank Langella too. Anyway.
Really unscrupulous.
Unscrupulous. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with the Horror Syndicate. Check out thehorrorsyndicate.com. Seth has his review of Hellraiser up on there, and it's a good one. He's got a pros and cons list for Halloween Ends. He's done a ton of other shit. Jared's got a bunch of fucking art, 189. And I've got a bunch of shit going on too as well. Underrated horror. We've got the rankings of the 80s going on right now. 85 should be coming soon. And I'm probably just rambling still because I'm so tired. Anything else that you guys, let's wrap up the episode because I'm fucking just rambling. Jared, final thoughts on Halloween Ends, please.
I didn't really get a chance to talk too much on this episode, but I was thoroughly underwhelmed when I first saw it. But I also did see it at like 10:30 at night. Had a lot of popcorn and soda in my body, but I did watch it again today. The movie did feel a little bit better today. Watching it by myself with fresh eyes, I guess, or, you know, less sleepy, sober eyes, I guess. This movie feels completely off. I get what they were trying to do. We've already talked about it. It doesn't make sense with the trilogy at all. Honestly, Corey's character should have been introduced earlier, because obviously the first 2 movies took place on the same day, but I mean his character should have been introduced at some point in the first 2 movies. Because you're sitting here for literally 60 minutes wondering what the fuck is happening before Michael Myers even fucking shows up. Okay? 60 minutes.
It's like a Man of Steel or Batman Begins.
We don't have 3 hours, Christopher Nolan. Jesus Christ. We are sitting here for 60 minutes wondering what the fuck is going on. We got Jamie Lee Curtis doing her thing. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind the movie at all. It is a decent movie for what it is. It is not a Halloween movie. It is not a... Granted, I'm still kind of flabbergasted by all this because I'm an old guy and I use the word flabbergasted, but I'm kind of flabbergasted by this movie still. I thought the love interest was overdone and rushed, and it didn't really help the story at all. I really do love Corey, sorry. Show me, Christine, show me. I do love that stuff, but it just felt off. It was a really good fucking movie. Yeah. I mean, I've seen many worse movies Good movie. It just didn't feel right. And I hope watching it again later in the next 2 or 3 months, it might sit better with me. But it just, I don't know. I cannot quantify in one podcast what this movie did to me because I did not get enough time to talk. So back to you, Ray.
They just did Michael wrong.
Yes,
Seth,
I said that earlier.
Yeah. Seth, what about you? Final thoughts on Evil dying 4 years later?
Well, first off, sorry, Jared, that you didn't get to talk a lot tonight. But
It's all right.
yeah, sorry, man. But you know, this movie I'm just kind of indifferent to, I guess, at the moment.
It's a good way to put it.
You know, it's because my initial reaction was fuck this movie, but the more I've seen it, the more I think about it, I'm just kind of indifferent to it. There's things I like, there's things I didn't like. I think Jared's correct when he says it's a good movie, but it's not a good Halloween movie per se. And I mean, it could have worked as if they planned on like doing two back to back and doing this story and then doing the actual end story after. Yeah. That would have been cool too. But you know, Evil died tonight, and that was good. There was a sign that said "Love lives today." That was nice to see. It was kind of heartwarming. I got nothing. Yeah, I'm just indifferent to it, you know, and it could grow on me over time. I do want to maybe reconsider my ranking, you know, of where to put it, but I think as of now it's lower end of my list.
Yeah, I know I'm going to reconsider. It's because I watched Resurrection shortly after and H2O right before, and both of those movies can go suck a fucking dick. And so can Halloween 5. So it's probably at least number 10 on my list. So fucking Tina can go fuck off too. I want to do, and I don't think Nate would be on board because he's generally an optimistic type of person, but I want to do like the top 10 most hated characters in the Halloween series. Because like I put that post up about Tina and like, oh, she's hot and she wasn't that bad. And I'm like, who the fuck is the worst then? Like, who is the worst of all of the Halloween movies? All the characters. Like, can you think of anybody worse than Tina? Fuck, I hate Tina so much. I mean, Spitz is pretty bad, but they're all from the same fucking movie. Anyway.
I think it'd be a fun episode to just do 10 hated worst horror characters of all time. Yeah. Not even just like one franchise. That would take a little bit more research, but yeah.
Well, that's got me thinking.
Well, I know who my number one is.
Who?
Did you guys see the fourth Sleepaway Camp movie, Return to Sleepaway Camp? Mm-hmm. There's this fucking kid in there. He lived 90 minutes longer than he should have. And he's like constantly like, he's always getting picked on, but he's always like, yeah, well, your ass stinks. And he's just like a horrible character. I fucking hate him, man.
Worst comeback guy.
I've never seen that movie. I don't. Now I kind of don't want. Now I kind of want to.
It's a terrible movie.
Anyway, yeah, we'll do something like that. If we have to do it, if Nate does want to be involved, we can do it on another night. Because apparently Seth and I went live 2 days in a row without, and then the show night. So I will post the fan ratings on the Facebook page sometime. And we will be doing that show on the Frankenstein films next week, 4 or 5 of them. And that's all I got. Halloween Ends is a weird movie. It felt odd the whole time, but my kids loved it. So,
yes, if anybody's still watching, still a good movie, worth watching.
Yep.
Make your own mind up.
Make sure, I mean, check it out before it leaves Peacock.
There are a lot of defenders of this movie out there.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's one of those things. Like, it's weird that all of us are, for the most part, well, except for Jared maybe, but in the middle. Well, there are people I'm seeing on my feed that are so fucking against it or so much for it, and it has split the fan base. But for me, I feel like I'm not as pissed off as I was at the end of Kills, because I was literally mad at the end of that movie. Now I'm over it.
Well, I don't know if you saw the post I shared right before we went live where I was promoting this, but I talked about Halloween Ends is the most divisive Halloween movie since Halloween Kills, which was the most divisive since 2018, which was divisive since Halloween 2, and I just kept going back and back. So, I mean, everything is divisive these days.
He's not wrong.
Well, it's divisive because
Halloween
of the internet.
It makes me wonder if Halloween has fans or just haters.
Well, no, it's because they have a voice.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, I know, but that's all it is, really. It's because they have a voice. We didn't hear this shit in 2002. I walked out of Resurrection like, okay, that was another Halloween movie. Look forward to the next one, And same thing with it too. I was like, okay, that was another Halloween movie.
Yeah.
I had nobody else telling me, oh, it sucked, and this is why. Like now we have to hear everybody. If you have a friend that watched this movie, like I've got so many people, and that's the other thing with things streaming day to day releasing, everybody's seeing it, and there's so many fucking people with their, like, my whole timeline on Thursday and Friday was Halloween stuff, and like I wish I would have taken a tally of who liked it and who didn't like it, to see how split it was. But on mine, I will say that I feel like there was more hate towards it than there was love, then there's the eternal optimist of Nate trying to find the good, and he's like Jonathan Kent, always trying to find the good in things. Yeah, I'm looking at your
To be fair, Nathan does a lot of research on his stuff too.
He does, man.
I love how much work he puts in on this.
Fucking bookworm. Yeah, he does.
We love you, Nate, if you're still listening.
Yeah, we do. I love having you on the show. I love having both of you guys on the show. I love this show, man. I look forward to it every week. Ever since Keith left, I look forward to it. I miss Keith, actually. He's like that little brother, that bratty little brother. I miss him. Just having him on the show. But anyway, I'm going to go. Huh?
I was just mimicking Keith, and we are live.
And we are live. Yeah, the old days when we had to have him start everything up. Now we got this beautiful StreamYard. I love it. I love StreamYard. Well worth the $20 I pay for it every month. Anyway, yeah. So check us out. If you have not subscribed to the Horror Syndicate on YouTube, please do so. If you haven't liked the page, we're up to 20,495 page likes now. We passed over 20,000 recently, and it just keeps growing. Thanks, Jessica Biel. That's not the only thing that keeps growing, if you know what I mean. And Cherry Moon Zombie, I should say also. I'm really happy that we're getting so many people following the page now, and there's so much engagement on like every fucking post. This is what I wanted from the beginning. So thanks everybody for being a part of the Horror Syndicate. I'm having fun. I hope you guys are having fun. Hope you're having fun. Not you, Seth. I don't want you to have fun. No.
The fuck?
Are you having fun?
No, I'm not.
Well, there you go. There it is. Hey, when are you going to do that Hellraiser ranking for the site?
Oh, well, the cool thing with that is I started writing it and I just stopped. I got to get back to it. I know.
I've been
slacking a lot on writing.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a whole week since the movie came out, and I'm like, where the fuck is this ranking already?
I made good headway with it for like one day, and then I just never went back to it.
Yeah, I think I have a handle on how you're going to rank them, but I'm so curious to see how it goes, and having an updated because I saw yours again pop up, and I'm like, oh, I want to share this again, but I can't because it's way outdated now. So
yeah,
there's a lot of posts that I could reshare because they're not outdated, but then there's some that are very like what was it? There was something I wanted to do, but there's been like 3 movies since then. I'm like, fuck, I can't reshare this one. So anyway, Great, always great to see you guys. It's always great to hear from everybody who's watching. We had a lot of interaction tonight, which I love. So come back next week and talk to us. Come back the next week and keep coming back. Watch our old shows on YouTube. They're still on Facebook as well. And don't forget, we've got the brackets going for the rest. This might be the last one I do because I'm fucking burnt out on doing brackets. Evil dies tonight.
He's full of shit. He'll do one again next March.
I feel so burnt out. Like it's such a task this time around. It's like I don't even want to do this. I'm like I thought if I didn't post them tomorrow, would anybody notice? You know, like would anybody like message us like, hey, where's the brackets today? No, they wouldn't. So bunch of fucking takers, a bunch of shitters. Wish Corey would have said that once in the movie. A bunch of shitters.
Bunch of shitters.
All right, guys. Have a great night. Make sure you watch horror because this is October and it's the only time to watch horror. So, and well, actually, there's a lot of good stuff on Peacock and some of these streaming places, Shudder and stuff. I'm just gonna keep rambling. I'm tired. Have a good night. I love you. Bye.